How are
Lovely, lovely.
you?
I'm good. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Can't complain.
Yeah,
Just at home, still at home.
really.
Still crossing fingers
Ah, yeah.
for
I
for things to get back to normality. But yeah,
yeah. Are you in Berlin at the moment?
I'm currently in Berlin. I'm currently in
Okay.
Berlin. Yes, I'm
And
currently in Berlin.
have you been in lockdown in Berlin?
Most of my lockdown, yes, I've spent it
Okay.
here in Berlin.
Yeah.
But the beginning of my lockdown, because I was still in Chemnitz, I was still engaged in Chemnitz
Oh, I see. Mm,
because I was there for 2 seasons.
mm.
So in July last year, that was my last month. So from March until July, I was still in Chemnitz, and then I moved to Berlin middle of July.
Okay. But tell
Yeah.
me, when the lockdown was announced there, were you busy with the production or something?
Funny enough, the lockdown was announced just after I finished my Barbiere de Sevilla performance in Leipzig, where I
Oh,
was a
okay.
guest. Where I was a guest, and the following week they said, "Okay, no more performances." But I was about to start with rehearsals for Entführung aus dem Israel in Chemnitz, where I would have done my Belmonte debut.
Oh,
So that was
wow.
a big knock. That was a big knock. I remember I was going for my coachings, and they were like, "We're sorry, Siyabonga, this production has to be cancelled." And I remember calling my agent. I was like, "Oh, I was so looking forward to add this role in my repertoire, but yeah, but I hope I will sing it someday, somewhere."
Well,
Yeah,
if it's any consolation, I hear this so many times that
yeah,
it was somebody's either debut of something, or it was a big project, or it was something they've been waiting for 2 years now, and that has been cancelled. So I think, many of your colleagues are in the same situation. Yeah,
yeah, in the same boat. Yeah,
yeah, the same sort of disappointment. Yeah.
yeah.
But
But I
then,
mean, yeah, but I mean, what I was saying to a friend of mine, Sunny Boy, the other day is like, some things are just a blessing in disguise, you know? So what it did for me was that I could just strip down the car and, work on it more, because sometimes you have just a couple of months to work on a role, and you have to, go on stage quickly. So I think I was saying to my agent, what it did for me is that it gave me, a lot of time to really dig deep in a role. Of course, the contract is cancelled. You feel sad, but what it does for you, it gives you more time to really dig in the role, and have more time for the role to be in your voice as well. Yeah. So it's sort of a win-win situation, but when you get the contract cancelled, it's sort of sad as well. But it can be a blessing in disguise.
yeah, I think it's also maybe you can tell me if you felt that way also. There's almost like, oh, now I can breathe again, because your lives are very booked up, and it's one thing after the other. So if one thing stops, then you start rehearsing for something else. So many artists say that this was sort of just, okay, now I can just relax a little bit.
I mean, for me too, I totally understand. For me too, it was, I think it came at a right point where, it was just back-to-back productions, back-to-back, sometimes back-to-back performances. Because I remember the before my last performance in Leipzig, which was Barbiere, I had Tamino in Chemnitz that I had performed. So it was back-to-back performances. So the whole lockdown thing was good in a way that, it made you, one, relax, make you take some rest, well-needed rest, but also for me, it has done a lot in terms of having that self-introspection that I think we all need sometimes, because then you realize some important stuff in your life that you would have missed because it's easy to be just zoned in this career, because you just wanted to work. You can easily be swamped up, overwhelmed. You can easily lose track sometimes of important stuff, like stuff like family. I'm 1,000 miles away from my family, but this time gave me some time to check more my family. We have video calls every day. I could video call my nephews. They're starting school, so you don't miss those small steps, in their lives. Also the issue of just the mental health, reading books, talking to people, checking up on colleagues as well, how they're doing, because you never know what people are going through, and yeah, and just thinking about long term. I was discussing this with Sunny Boy, and I asked him, it's like, so where do you see yourself in 10 years? Where do you see yourself? When would you want to retire from this job? And what do you want to do afterwards? Because for me, it was an eye-opener as well in terms of finances, because most of the time what we learn in universities, in Hochschules, no one tells you about the business side of what we do. And I believe it's called show business for a purpose, because there's a business side of the show, and I had to think, about finances. Like, okay, what's my 5-year plan? What's my 10-year plan? What's my 15th-year plan? I know other people, they don't want to think that far, but for me, this whole lockdown thing made me think about stuff that I've been avoiding, or I've been not having time to think about, So I was, like I said earlier on, I think it was a blessing in disguise, because sometimes you can get to learn things about yourself you didn't know that existed, and that for me is a true gift. It was a blessing. It was a blessing.
But it's very interesting that you talk about this business side, because I actually spoke to a conductor once about this, and he said the same thing. He said that you have to think about that. It's almost as if artists think about the art and don't think about the rest. But it is like this, like you're saying, you have to think of the financial side of it as well. And I wonder also in all aspects, if artists now become more sort of in control as well, whereas I know you all have agents and you have people looking after you, but that somehow there needs to be that control as well. And that this time make you maybe aware of it.
Yeah. And not only aware, but also having a better relationship with money. And I know a lot of people, they hate talk about money and stuff. I know, but I think it's important to learn fundamentals of having a better relationship with money. And this is, like I said earlier on, this is one thing we are not taught in school. So in a way, you have to, when you go to the real world, you feel naked. It's as if you have to figure it on your own. You have to figure out budget for you, because you have to go for auditions. You have to go for performances, sometimes guesting, because sometimes other payments, they come later, so you have to really have a better understanding and relationship with your finances. And this whole process for me, what it did is, like, I sat down and sort of draw my year plan, my 5-year plan. And so where do I want to see myself? And also roles, what roles do I want to do the next coming 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, and I got a chance to visit my agent, and we sat down and we spoke about our plans. So, yeah.
But you know, maybe this is also where when things like this come in, you start, not that you can, it's for me it's always difficult, the art, to put a money value on it, because I think if you take the years that you've studied, if you take all the sacrifices you make, and you cannot put that in amount of money really, because then you will be not, nobody will be able to afford you. But
Yeah, of course.
but but if we think of it now, that we think, if artists are more in touch with the business side, maybe
Yeah.
then they will also not be less valued when it comes to paying. You know, that they then would be able to say, well, look, I don't know, because I'm not an artist, but that you would say, well, I don't work for less, or maybe I am worth more in a money sense, because you have an idea of the business sense of things. I don't know. Do you
Yeah.
think this is possible?
It's funny because I came across this because I was reading some books by some tech business side of the US, all these companies. And one guy was saying, so most of the time, you will be paid what you negotiate other than what you are worth.
Mm.
And that struck a chord in me. I was like, oh, wow, okay. You know, so in essence, it's like sometimes you will be paid what you negotiate, and some more than what you are worth, you know, because it's one thing to say, okay, let's say I know that I'm worth this much. And then when your agent or your manager goes to negotiate on your behalf, and then the opera says, okay, we are willing to pay this much, but you know that you're worth this much, you know, so it's like you have to find
Yeah, the medium.
some balance,
Yeah, the
so
balance. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so it's very tricky. It's very
Mm.
tricky. Yeah, yeah.
But so this is wonderful that you could do this, and you say you've worked on this role that you wanted to. Did you then, was there a chance for you over the summer, because some of the theaters opened over the summer, so was there a chance to perform? Was there something you were involved in?
Luckily, yes. I in 2017 I did my Tamino debut in Opa Burgas in Austria. And they were so lovely to me and nice to me to invite me back last year summer to give a recital. So I went there to do a short recital of some Beethoven songs, Schubert songs, and ended the program with some South African songs. So that
Oh,
was
okay. Yeah.
yeah, that was lovely. Yeah. So
And how was
that's
it?
one thing I did. Yeah.
How did it feel to be back on stage then again after the
It was, I mean, to just see people
Hmm.
in the audience, that was refreshing on its own, you know, but also to just to sing, you know, and to see people's reaction when you sing, to see the connection, you know, because it's one thing to sing in an empty concert hall where when it's live streamed, but it's another thing when you see the audience and you can connect and you can look into their eyes and you can see the connection that they have with the music. And that does something to an artist, you know, because because when you sing through a camera, of course you are engaged, but it's almost empty. But when you sing to an audience, you are also able to gauge yourself. You're also able, because you feed off from the energy they give as well, you know. So that was so, for me, it was so refreshing to be part of that concert.
Yeah, this I asked this because I hear also many artists say that they felt a little bit emotional also as
Yeah,
well, you know, that
yeah,
touching, that it really struck a chord that this is what they want to do, and this is what they really missed. And you know, I think the audiences do as well. I think the audiences, you know, also, because this also, I've heard from somebody in Munich that, you know, the concerts were sold out immediately. You know, it was like in the moment it was open, the ticket offers, the tickets were sold.
I just
Yeah.
saw now a colleague of mine posted on Facebook that he was trying to get a ticket for the Berlin Philharmonic concert because they're about to open concerts for audience. And he said in 30 minutes, everything was sold out.
Really? That's amazing. That's so,
It's
that's wonderful to know that, you know, that we think people will definitely, when the concert halls open, that they will stream in to watch. Tell me, the third lockdown, was it also hard for you?
That one was hard as well because, so I was here now in Berlin, and then I was preparing for Tannhäuser, and then I was told, okay, it won't happen. And then I was preparing for Zauberflöte, which was going to happen in December. And then I was also told it's not going to happen. But then I was preparing for my big debut of Mitridate in Mozart Mitridate opera, which was going to be conducted by Maestro Minkowski. And that was going to happen in February, because that was a jump in for me. But even that, I was told it's cancelled. So that one was was a bit bitter as well, you know. But on the brighter side of it, I'm happy that I got to learn a new role, you know.
Yeah.
But just know, because I haven't, since I've started my contract here in Berlin, I haven't been on stage.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, since August, I haven't been on stage, so I'm still yet waiting to to do my stage debut here in the South Opera. Yeah.
But I think it's this thing where it's, the first one was sort of, okay, we're in it now, but then as it, every time the artists look forward to the next thing, or they get almost this hope for the next one, and then it's cancelled. And I think this, I've also heard somebody say that it's almost like, okay, is it really going to happen? You know, it's almost that the faith has gone a little bit to think that it will be happening.
Because of course you do keep this level of optimism, you know, going, you know, but it's as if, you know, it's like you like, oh, okay, now it's coming, and then it's like, oh, it's not happening, and then you build it up again, because it's another thing to build up that stamina, build up that optimism, and then it's like, oh, then everything just falls apart, you know. So
but Siyabonga, is it not part of your lives, really? Is this, you know, you are almost equipped for this situation, because you, as in your careers, you always have these disappointments, and you overcome it, and the audition you didn't make, and you get up again and, you know, do it. And I almost see this type of positivity and this mindset in artists, that you have this already built in you by all these things that happen to you in your, on your path to where you are now. That, you know, I almost think you, of all the people in the world, are the best equipped to deal with this situation. Not that I say I wish it on you, but that I'm just saying that you are sort of strong to overcome it.
Yeah, I mean, if I could tell you how many no's artists get in every audition or every contract, or you know, so we live on the edge of adversity, you know.
Yeah.
And we thrive in that, you know, we come out of that strong, you know. It's almost as if no for us, you know, it's like next opportunity.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know, because you cannot in a single day allow that no to put you down, you know. Because music, my mom said, you know, bless her soul, she said to me, music is so, it's based on opinions and it's a taste thing, you know. So when someone says to you, I don't think I like maybe Siyabonga's voice, you know, and then the next person will be like, oh wow, that's my cup of tea, you know. So you can't allow someone else's opinion and taste put you down, because you have to move on to another person, you know. But and of course, sometimes failure, because I hate the word failure, or sometimes that no makes us to go back to the drawing board, you know, makes us to go back to that rehearsal room and work on our craft and work on our technique, you know, which means for the next audition will be a bit better, you know. So there's almost that, you know, progress.
Yeah.
Every time you get no, of course, when you get that no, it's a bit, okay, you know, but you have to pick yourself up, you know, and go back to that rehearsal room and work on your craft, work on your technique, work on language, work on everything, so that for the next one, we're a bit better.
Well, I always think in these situations, if you ask for something, you can just, there's only two outcomes. It's either yes or no. There can't be anything else. So it's either one or the two. See, as the same as I asked you to this interview, you could either have said yes or no. Nothing else could happen.
It's funny that one of my philosophies in life is like, for me, it's not a thing. I don't have a gray area, and I don't know why, because for me, it's either like you do something or you don't. It's either you will get that yes or you don't get that yes, you know. Because I don't know, I think it's a very young age I developed this thing that which I don't know, to some degree, to other people it's like too much, but everything, I don't want to feel as if I am at a receiving end of everything that's happening in my life. So I always feel I should be on offense than defense most of the time. So things that I've got control over, I can work on them. But things that I don't have control over, I cannot do anything, you know. So I don't have control over your taste, you know, but I have a control over what I can do with my craft, you know. So that has been my philosophy about, you know, this career and trying to find my way in it.
That is so great that you say that. There's a writer, Seth Godin. He always says that his answer when somebody doesn't like what he does or writes, then he says, well, it's not for you. And it's really what you're saying now, you know.
I mean, it's just a silly example, when let's say Bentley advertises and someone says, that's an expensive car, and I would be like, maybe you're not the target market.
Exactly. Yeah, that's great.
It's like that, simple as that.
But Siyabonga, I have been thinking, or I've been hearing and artists saying that art is not valued. Do you also agree with that in this time?
It's not valued because, actually, that's a complex subject, because I think till today it's viewed as hobby than our lifestyle, our daily lifestyle, you know. Because if I always think, if we lose arts and culture, we lose our identity. And till today, I don't understand why there isn't so much emphasis on arts importance. in our lives. Because if you look around, everywhere we go, there's art, you know. And I always feel the more art is being, you know, ignored, the more we lose our identity as people, the more we lose our identity as nations, as different countries, you know, because it's more than just hobby, you know,
or
it's where, or entertainment, you know, of course, because we look at it as an entertainment value, but it does more than that. You know, when someone is sad and they listen to a certain piece of music and it heals them, that's more than hobby, you know, because there's this deep connection that people feel when they listen to music. If you're going to throw a party, there's no party without music. If a function, there's no function without music. You know, and these are the smallest things that people do not understand. You know, I was saying to a friend of mine back in South Africa, and she was asking me, actually, how can they make opera and classical music accessible to, you know, young kids in schools and all that stuff, and for it to be more popular, you know. In South Africa, we are so blessed because we have a strong choral system. We have strong background of a lot of choirs. And I was saying to her, the day we will start to make it our own culture, because if you think of soccer is not South African as well. It's not South African, but it has been embedded on us to a point whereby it's our lifestyle now. You know, so the day we will start making opera fashionable and accessible to kids at a very young age, this is the most important thing, at a very young age, because then we are with a better shot, you know. Because for me, it's interesting that when parents bought us toys or stuff, it was about art. But yet, when we go to universities, or now, art is something that is like, you know, but art stimulates the human mind, you know, because I always felt even the education system teaches students what to think other than how to think. So it's based on this, it's a knowledge factory more than it being constructive thinking, you know, because I think we have to go to a point whereby education is more than just classroom, you know, but it's more, you go out there, because for me, experience will forever be our best teacher of life. You know, so we still have a long way, but I'm quite optimistic. Yeah.
But I think I'm really wishing that we could, through this time, and also artists, you know, if artists could start also an initiative where we say, this is so important that children are taught art in school, that we don't just teach maths and science, but that we put art alongside these subjects, that we say for every child, they have to. Because if you look in South Africa, for example, we only have one theater really for opera, I'm talking about a big theater, and that's
fully functional.
Yeah. Yet, and it's the same in ballet, you know. So for example, somebody asked me the other day, it's from a small town in the northern part of South Africa, how can she get her child into ballet? So in South Africa, there's not many art schools. There's not many possibilities for young children. This is, say, ballet, but you know for yourself in opera. And if you think every child in South Africa, every child in the world has maths as a subject, has science as a subject, and their language. If we could have every child in the world be taught art in all its disciplines, you know, the painting, dancing, and music, you know, and singing. It can be incorporated from a young age so that children could express themselves, for one, and also learn and appreciate. And if you see how brains are shaped by music and by movement and painting and visual arts, and also these qualities then that I told you about, you know, overcoming things, be self-motivated, seeing opportunities where other people don't, you know. These are all qualities that you as artists have because of the training and because of the exposure to music and art. And if it's, you know, if it's possible that we can change the education system so that art is not seen, as you now say, a hobby or entertainment, or you know, the half an hour a week singing, or just because children, no, you know, just because there's an opportunity to sing in a choir in the church, that's their only exposure to music.
Yeah, but if you think of it, isn't it funny that the work with our body is less important than the work with our minds? So it's as if our heads are more important than our hearts. And for me, this is very funny, because I knew from high school that I wanted to be a musician, but I couldn't say that out loud because I would be looked at as if I'm not dreaming big, you know, because it's almost as if music or art, you know, you get these questions like, so what are you doing? So I'm an opera singer. No, but I mean your actual job. I'm an opera singer, you know, that thing has almost become like a cliche. It's like, you know, but if you think of it, it's like, think of it, where do you picture a creative kid in a class? You picture them sitting behind, just drawing something, sketching something, and probably they're afraid to be bullied by others because they seem odd, you know. But it's just that they want to express themselves through art, you know. And for me, that's the power of art. You know, it's like you see things that people don't see, you know. And it's so unfortunate that we live in a society whereby the work with our minds is more important than the work with our hearts. You know, it's almost as if doing art, you don't rank so high in society status, you know. And that for me has to change.
Yeah,
it has to change.
and you know, this will give children a purpose as well, because you see, the moment you see in countries, for example, like South Africa, the moment you give children the opportunity to do sport, it changes their lives. You know, it changes from one, you know, having some focus, something to do. This could be the same in many countries. Sport in England as well. Sport, you know, football is a great thing. I mean, my son, for example, he did ballet from a young age. He didn't play football, but you know, it was not very popular for him amongst the boys that age, you know, because he was doing ballet. Yet that's the mindset, you know, that it's only when you do football, or in South Africa, rugby and soccer. And you know, if that's also, if that is, like you say, that perception of the child who wants to do something in drama or wants to sing or, you know, in visual arts. So so I think that is really something that there's enough evidence, scientific evidence now to prove that this has an effect on the brain, and as you say, on the heart, on the soul of people. And you know, I just one example. I spoke to a cellist here in Vienna, and he said that for him, when he does a performance and afterwards somebody comes up to him and say, thank you so much, you know, I had such a hard day at work, I really didn't feel like coming, but you really touched me.
Wow.
You know, he says that is for him, he needs only one person to say that, and that was worth it for him to do. And then if you think, if music has such an ability to do that, you know, then really we have to make it such a high priority for our children.
Yep. Yeah. And this is one thing that I think we really, I mean, I don't know when it will change, but I do know that we do need that change. No, this change of perception.
Yeah. But tell me that the other thing also that you talked about now about the friend that asked you, how can opera be more sort of popular? I'm also thinking about this connection, or about between art and artists and the public, say, or the audience. So, for example, here I think also of children, because I think if I listen to, for example, Sunny Boy's story, how he came from Piet Retief to being an opera singer, and I think we see you on stage doing it perfectly, and it looks so easy, and you know, but we never know these, like you say there, all the no's you had, all the obstacles you had to overcome. And I sometimes wonder that if we don't, not to make a drama of it, but to talk about this, to talk about, look, I was in a small town, I grew up in the small town, or you grew up in Soweto. There wasn't a theater, a big theater in Soweto that many of the European countries have here, but still, you know, you sang in a choir and you went there and you had the thought of doing it, but you talk about how you became the artist, and people start understanding that it's possible. Children start understanding it's not above my reach. It's not, you know, you know, children think, I'll never be able to do that. How will I ever end up in Germany, or how will I ever end up on the stage? And I think this contact, if you know, if you talk more about this, also that people then understand, listen, but like you say to me now, you know, with the hours of studying for a role, that people understand, you know, that's that part.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned this. I again, because I mean, lately we do a lot of Zoom and video calls. I was talking to someone really close to me who plays a father figure in my life, Richard Koch. And I was saying to him, I think we need South Africa needs to do a case study about your life, you know, because I think a lot of young people, they can draw a lot of lessons from your life and your upbringing, how you did it, and how you've become this, how you became this powerhouse, and how you built this empire, Richard Koch Music Enterprise. And like you said, it's important as well for us to always share our journeys, because representation is very important. If a little girl or a young Khathlahong where I come from, sees me perform on big stages or sees me perform, let's say in Staatsoper, in that, he or she can see herself as well. And this is one thing I always preach, like, representation is very important. It's almost as like, when I wake up, I know that my angel says, I stand as I stand as one. No, I come as one, but stand as 10,000. I come as one, but stand as 10,000. So it's almost as if we've got a responsibility to go out there and do what we're passionate about, because there are people out there who look up to us, you know, and without us knowing.
Yeah.
You know? So it's almost as if you've got that responsibility that you don't know of, but you just need to know that you have that responsibility to go out there and touch people's lives through your talent and gift. You know, so it's that's really interesting that you said that, and I was talking about it. Yeah.
And I think that that contact with, you know, we can for children, you can show an opera and talk about opera, but I think if they see the person singing, or they get connected with this person and can relate, you know, like there was a ballet dancer I talked to last night, and he was telling me that he's from Spain and from a small town, you know, that he came from, and but he now talks on Zoom, for example, with some children there, and talk about how he got there, how he became a ballet dancer, and all the things he went through. And you know, this is the type of thing that they can relate, that they can know, oh, but I'm also in this town, I live here, so it's possible for me, you know, if I work hard. And you know, if you talk about, and as I say, disappointments, children now on living in a life of instant things happen, instant, you know, when they play a computer game today, you know, if they play on Farmville or something, today they plant something and tomorrow they harvest it, but they don't realize, you know, they don't realize that things take time, and that things has a process. And you know, if you can, if artists can talk about this, because of course you know the process, you know how it takes time, and you know how long it took and how many hours of practice, so you have that that understanding of it. And this is what, you know, what we need to in this world. And this is why I also think this standstill of things, you know, this really stop to reflect and thinking, but where are we all going?
Because the more we share our stories, the better we are in attracting more young people into what we do.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, because in every story, someone might see themselves in that story.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
From a very young age, I lost my parents at a very young age. So, and I would read about all these successful people coming from my township, you know, in Khathlahong. And I said to myself, wow. And I was like, man, what they've actually done is to cancel out all the excuses I would come with, you know, in order for me not to pursue what I want to do, you know. So having those people walk through their lives and doing what they do, little did they know that they were inspiring a young boy in Khathlahong. You know, one of my mentors, Michael Dingan, gave me 2 recordings of our South African tenors, John van der Walt, bless his soul,
I knew him,
and Kobe van Rensbeck, who now happens to be one of my mentors.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I even went to Potchefstroom because that's where he studied.
Yeah.
Kobe van Rensbeck, because he was for me, he represented possibilities.
Yeah.
You know, it's like here's this South African tenor, studied in Potchefstroom, and now he's all over the world.
Mm.
You know, and little did he know, by doing what he did, you know, which was just pursuing his dreams, through his journey, I found myself as well.
Yeah, you see,
Yeah. So
that's
we never
amazing.
know.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So when you started, what age did you knew that you were going to be, did you want to be an artist?
I would say
Yeah.
age 15 or 14. Yeah, 15 or 14. We are very lucky in South Africa. We have this platform called, back then it was called Tirisano, but now it's called the SASKE, South African Schools Choral Assessment, where kids are given a platform to showcase their gifts and talent. So there's a choral category, but also there are solo categories, you know. And I remember taking part in that Eisteddfod competition, and I just fell in love with the music. I just fell in love with the music. I remember we were doing a Mozart piece from Così fan tutte, Tradito Schernito, and that was my first encounter with opera, and I fell in love with it. I think, yeah. So age 14 and 15, I was introduced to opera, and then later on, meeting Maestro Richard Koch in South Africa, he then took me to a whole new world of concert music. And I started doing Bach, started doing Handel, Mendelssohn, you know, and that's where I really fell in love with this art form. And right there, I went to Porch to pursue this dream.
Oh, okay. Did you
Yeah.
study there? Yeah. I studied teaching in Potch.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. Years ago.
At the
Many
university?
years. What?
At the university?
Not at the, then it was the teachers training college. Yeah, and I lived on the Debult.
The Bolt?
Yeah. my flat was there on
Oh, wow.
Debult.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
The small world. What?
Yeah, but
Oh.
but tell me, what did, now on a lighter side, what did you do in lockdown that was out of the ordinary, except studying and except practicing? Did you do some cooking or baking or something?
I'm a bad cook, but
Okay.
during lockdown, I've improved immensely,
Oh,
because
okay.
I grew up with 4 sisters.
Yeah.
I'm the only boy at
Yeah.
home. Hence, my name is Siyabonga, which means thank you. So when my mom got me, she was
Oh.
like, thank God it's a boy, finally. So growing up with 4 ladies, they didn't want me like near pots or cooking. Yeah, but I would do like some ironing for them or do some cleaning for them. So that side of my living, cooking, like that didn't work out. And then, but when I went to Porch, I tried to cook a bit. So, but here, because Sunny Boy and Judith, close friends of mine, they love cooking. And I always visit them and they would cook all these delicious meals. Judith would cook all these Romanian dishes. So that also inspired me to want to start, you know,
Okay. Yeah.
better myself. So now I'm much better. Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
did that for me. So lockdown did that for me. Yeah.
But listen, and I asked Sunny Boy, what food do you miss from South Africa?
Oh my God. I miss, biltong.
Yeah, he said that as well.
I miss pap.
Oh, really? Oh, I love that too.
Oh,
You will not believe me, but I used to come back I lived in England for
yeah.
many years. I used to, when I visited South Africa,
Yeah.
I used to come back with a bag of Iwisa in my
Oh,
suitcase.
you can take us from South Africa, but you can't take us out.
No.
Yeah.
This and stump millies.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
We call that umngqusho in Xhosa. That's my
Oh, really?
cultural dish. Yeah.
Yeah, and my children also. I mean, they were very young when we left South Africa, but stump
Yeah.
millies and millipap, they
Oh,
just love.
yeah. Yeah.
But my favorite is fritos. Do you know
Oh,
fritos?
fritos. Yes.
Yeah. I also come back always with it.
We used to buy those. We used to buy those in a township. They used to have them in small bags, and it would be
Yes.
50 cents. Yeah, it would
Oh,
be 50 cents.
okay.
Fritos. Yeah,
Fritos, that's
fritos.
my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was saying to boy that day, it's like, and cream soda, you all miss this taste, cream soda or
Oh, cream soda. Yeah. All these things. But
yeah.
no, I know that's things we grew up with, and
We grew up with, yeah. Things
yeah.
we grew up, yeah.
But I
Yeah.
must say, you have to be in South Africa to really get the taste of it. It's even if you bring it back here, it doesn't taste
Yeah.
the same. You have
It
to
does.
taste it
It
in
does.
under the South African sun. You
Yeah.
have to eat it. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to do it home.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, Siyabonga, what is your wish for when this is all over?
I mean, of course, my wish is for audience to be there for us, because the unknown factor with this is that if the gates are opened, will we have people? Or people will still be skeptical, the fear of, maybe I might catch it, or, because you never know. So my wish is just to have audience full support, which I know that they will give us. But the biggest wish is for this should be a wake-up call for everyone in arts. This should be a wake-up call for people who do laws for us, so that they need to put us up there in their rankings, because this is more than just hobby. This is our lifestyle. We breathe, we eat, we arts and culture is our identity. And when we lose that, we lose our sense of identity.
Yeah. And I also think that, many cities in the world market themselves by the theaters and market themselves by the arts. If you look in London, for example, if you look in, all the big cities, it's the theaters and the art galleries and things like that. That's always on the to-do, what to see in London or what to do in Berlin. It's always to do with art, and that should really be the importance for all governments, I think. Yeah. But Siyabonga, thank you so much for your time and your lovely, wonderful, positive insight.
Thank you for having me, really. And thanks to people like you that we can share our stories. Such platforms we need, where people can share their journeys. Like we said, someone listening to this, might see themselves in my journey. Exactly. Someone listening to this might see themselves in someone else's journey. So it's very important. We have a lot of platforms like these.
Yeah.
I was saying to Sunny Boy, hats off to their platform as well, Atelier, where they try to find stuff for young upcoming singers. They introduce them to all these big coaches, all these big managements, so we need more of those in our days. Yeah. We need more positivity, we need more platforms like this. So thank you very much. Really, hats off to you.
No, thank you. I thank you all for talking to me about this, because I think, I'm also, it's like being from South Africa as well. I also understand the that the opportunities are not there everywhere in the world. You know, we live in Europe now, and as you know, it's more available than you know for yourself in South Africa. And if I always wonder how many children now grow up with no vision for becoming an artist, because you have to leave, like you had to leave South Africa to become this artist and to be able to do these parts. But wouldn't it have been lovely if the children in South Africa could have this this vision for we have many theaters in South Africa, so I can become a singer, I can become a ballet dancer. You know, that this all comes back to, I know there are many people who work on the ground level that now I discover, you know, people who work so hard on to give opportunities to children, but then where does this go? Then these children have to leave South Africa to be able to pursue their dreams.
And you know what's sad is that our theaters or opera houses in South Africa, they've turned out to be museums now, other than platforms where kids can showcase their gifts and talents. You know, I always hear of, yeah, but it will take time for the new government, for the new people now who are placing laws to get used to this Western culture. And I'm like, we've been having democracy for more than 2 decades now, you know, and now that we've started, we don't have any excuse of not, you know, supporting arts and culture in South Africa, you know, and it saddens me that we have to come this side to pursue this dream in order for us to pursue this dream, because the pie is much bigger this side. The market is much bigger this side, you know, whereas there's so much talent, you know, to my colleagues, I always tell them there's so much talent in South Africa. And it is said that the talent comes to Europe, you know, because of opportunities, you know, and I do understand people who take their talents and gifts elsewhere, you know, because at the end of the day, you want to see yourself doing and exercising what you are passionate about and what you're talented, what you're gifted. So I think there'll come a time whereby we say enough is enough, you know, we need to see change now, you know, because we've been waiting and we've been sold stories to say, yeah, it takes time. But if you've taken Western culture stuff, soccer, rugby, cricket, all that stuff, and you've made them accessible to kids and you've made them fashionable, I'm sure you can take art as well. Like you can take ballet, you can teach classical music at a very young age, even in township schools, you know, and move away from making excuses, because I just find them as excuses for me, you know, and yeah.
What I also find is in the world of art, if you look, for example, in an orchestra, and you look in Europe, for example, in a ballet company, these are all different cultures who come together in this company. You know, you get a ballet company where there are people from Russia, from Romania, from Italy, from, you know, England and France, and all these people come together, and it's the same in an orchestra, and same where you are now in a theater. Yet these people have the ability to work together aside from any other differences, can work together. So in a country like South Africa, where we have so many different cultures, wouldn't art be the ideal place to start to get these people together, you know?
You know, of course, you know, I believe having so much different cultures, different tradition, different religions in South Africa, that's our superpower.
Yeah.
you know, having these 11 official languages, having all these, like you find Xhosa, you find Zulu people, you find Shangani, you find, you know, that's, I've always said that's our superpower, you know. And if we can just come together and just do it, you know, and really hats off to companies like Artscape, you know, the Cape Town Opera, you know, they've been giving platform to young South Africans, you know, opera singers, and for decades now, you know. And you've seen other companies, new companies like Gauteng Opera, they come and go, you know. You see other like South African Opera, you know, they come and go, you know. And kudos to private sectors that have supported and still supporting arts in South Africa, you know. Hats off to them, you know. But we need more from our government. We need more, and yeah, we're not gonna back down. We need more.
But you know, this is a way, I think, of when we speak about these things and when we express what we think could be a solution. I think these are all things that when people start hearing and start talking about it, maybe there will come solutions. So I always think of it as planting seeds. You know, if you plant the seed, you just have to have the right amount of water and the right conditions, and it can grow into a wonderful big tree, you know.
That's so true. That's so true.
So that's what I'm trying to do with all these conversations.
Yeah.
Listen, do you ever come to Vienna?
Yes. Actually, maybe I shouldn't be talking about it before.
but whenever you come, will you write to me? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah.
I want to meet you and Sunny Boy in person.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
We can have a lovely South African party with Millie Pop,
yes, definitely.
and cream soda.
Okay. Yeah.
And biltong.
All the best. All right.
Thank you so much, Siyabonga, and have a lovely afternoon, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Okay,
Ciao.
thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.